Good morning, everybody. It is Monday morning. It is a little bit past 11 because I was kind of lost track of time. There we are. Now everything has caught up. Good morning. It is 11:07 on Monday, July 25th. I can't It's really hard to believe that the whole month is over already. Feel like I blinked and July went poof. Um, I hope that you were able to stay cool this weekend. Um, I actually stayed in my house all day with the air conditioning on and never even set foot outside of my front. I never even opened my doors. I didn't even get dressed. It was actually really delightful. We had decided that Lily and I decided we were having a totally down day on Sunday. Neither one of us had had a down day in a really long time. And so we decided we were going to have a totally down day. And so she woke up in the morning and she slept. She's starting to sort of get into that like tween, teeny sleeping pattern, but she slept till almost 10. And she got up and she looked at me and she said, Mama, it feels glorious not to know that I don't have to get dressed and do anything today. And I said, I totally feel you. And it was. We just stayed in bed, stayed at home. We had a lip sync contest. We have this book that's Santa brought not this past Christmas, not this past Christmas, but last year, and it has all of these activities that you can do. It's like date night for families kind of thing. And so we did. One of the things was to each of us got to pick songs for the other one, and and we had to lip sync them, and we were trying really hard to pick songs that neither that the other one didn't know, but Lily kept not kept there was it was really hard for Lily to stump me because it's really rare that she knows songs that I don't. The only way she could do it was to get like the really current pop R&B or rap songs that I don't know and I have never listened to. But everything else, she was like, "How do you know this song, Mama?" So we were having fun acting it out and being hams, and we had a it was really a wonderful Sunday. And it was great because we didn't have to go anywhere. We ate leftovers. We we just kind of did what we want when we wanted, and it was really wonderful, and I was grateful for the time. And so I was sort of grateful that the weather gave us the opportunity to not have to feel like we had to run and go and do. And we had been, both of us, running and going and doing for a really long time. So it was nice to have a down day. And I hope that you guys, whatever you did what you did to light your soul up. And honestly, I don't have a ton of anything that I want to talk about today because I'm exhausted. Um, Maybe because we didn't have any activity yesterday. Although we did do yoga, we had a dance party. It wasn't like we were slugs. But either way, Lily started a new camp today. She was worried about camp, so she was anxious about making friends. So we had a whole long conversation about making friends. Um, so she was up late, which then meant I was up even later. And then by the time I fell asleep, she woke up with a nightmare, and then it took hours to help her get back to sleep again. She was just shaking and shuddering, and it was so neither one of us got a great deal of sleep. She managed to somehow get up and run to camp. I'm not sure that a nap isn't in my future in the very near future. Um, it's 11:11, so make a wish. Um, and yeah, so because I'm so tired, I don't really have a whole lot of energy or anything really to talk about. I did want to say that um, my dear friend Jamie Chapman and my friend Virginia Labassi uh, have started this 1% group on Marco Polo. I'll post the link in the chat below, and it's 3 times a day hints, tips, tricks for navigating the crazy um, I think my video is I don't know if it stopped. I keep getting messages. Something's there's something wrong with Chrome these days. It doesn't allow me to go live on Facebook with ease. Whatever. as long as I'm keep going. So the 1%, it's mindfulness, hints, tips, tricks, breathing, some positive quotient, PQ things to keep your mind in, rather get in that fight or flight space. It's really about mindfulness and staying present and being able to get out of the craziness that we live in 3D world. Like the world we live in right now is crazy. And I was listening to Pam Gregory. I don't know if you follow Pam Gregory. She's a brilliant astrologer from the UK, and she reminds me of like a sort of a school marm. Like she's like a. I expect her to serve tea and crumpets with her astrology forecast. But she's brilliant, and she's very sweet, lovely older lady, and she really has a really finger on the pulse of energetic patterns and astrology patterns and stuff. So if you don't know Pam Gregory, definitely follow her. She's wonderful. She, like Lee Harris and a few of the others that I will follow, um, Carolyn Mace, they sort of talk about energy, global patterns, energies that are out there, what we can expect, what we can sort of learn to understand, and how we navigate what's going on. And so the other day I was listening to her talk about the new moon that's this week, and Leo season and all kinds of stuff. And she was talking about how it feels really crazy, and there's disruption because of where some of the planets are. Uranus, which is the great disruptor, is in Taurus, and that's gonna be for a little while. That's gonna, and Taurus is the Earth. So she was talking about disruption. She was talking about real chaotic shifts, and the only thing that we can do is to continue taking a sort of bird's eye view, and being, just not focusing on all the chaos, but instead focusing on our own internal state and raising our vibrations, which is kind of everything that I talk about anyway. She was even talking about um, the heart math resonance, and so there's there's stuff anyway, and because of that, because there's so much out there, it can feel, it can be overwhelming. And that's why, so Jamie and Virginia and I were having a conversation about how we're coping, and they decided they wanted to do this Marco Polo thing. So Jamie has the morning, with some, like I said, some mindfulness and really sitting in your physical body. Virginia, this week at least, is going to do some breathing exercises, and then I have the evening round. Um, and I will sort of take my cue from what they're talking about. But it really is all about, like, how can you stay present? How can you stay mindful? How can you cultivate happiness and raise your vibrations, and what can you do every single day? So it's a if you wanted it to be 3 times a day, mindfulness meditation. So I will post a link if you're interested, and I encourage you to check it out. I think it's there's there'll be some really cool stuff in there, and we're kind of letting it unfold organically. We don't really have an agenda with it, but we're just kind of gonna see what comes up. So I encourage you to check that out. And the title of my talk today was 1%, 1 degree shift, which is that same thing that we're talking about. Is like, what can you do today to make a 1 degree shift? Last week I had the privilege of speaking. A friend of mine, or one colleague, just she just graduated from RTI, and she is in the Polka Dot Powerhouse, which is a women's networking group. And she had an evening of the woo with the dots. And it was really fun. And a whole bunch of us got to share, do some meditations. I gave a mini Science of Happiness lecture, and it was like you got to rotate through all the different stations a couple of times. It was fun. And so in my talk last week, I was talking about, I asked people to fill out their wheel of their life, and there's all, it's basically a wheel, and it has 8 sections, and it's, each section is this, excuse me, an area of your life: spirituality, finances, romance, personal relationships, spirituality, all the stuff. And you got to rate yourself on a scale from 1 to 10 on all of those different areas. And if you're 10 all around, God bless you. But most of us were somewhere, like 8 here, 6 there, 10 here, 5, whatever. So when you draw that shape, it ended up being like a Pac-Man or an amoeba or like a blob, right? And I said, well, this is how you're rolling down life. This is how you're rolling in. This is the wheel that you're riding on in your life. And mine looked a little bit like there was a flattened area in romance because I'm single, happily so, but it was flat, right? So I put it at like a 6, not an 8 or a 10. And so it went round and then so I'm rolling, ka-chunk. Rolling, ka-chunk. And right next to romance is finance, which is not coincidental. It's sort of on purpose. And so those two areas are, and then it takes a tremendous effort for me to then get going again to go round and round and round and round. So I was asking everybody in the group last week, what is one one thing that you could choose or shift to make to go from a 5 to a 6, let's say. And it doesn't have to be a big deal. We're talking about 1 degree shift. Like a 1 degree shift just gives you a little bit of space. And ultimately what we ended up talking about is if you're angst and there's a lot of frustration and you're pushing up against something, this shouldn't be, or I'm unhappy with this, or this is not okay, or there's like a wishing or a hopeful or anything, any kind of energetic in there, then what you're creating is all this energy, effort, and attention on the thing that you don't want. So, one of the things that we talked about was what can you do to give yourself a 1 degree shift from that angst? Like how can you even just shift your perspective on it a little bit? Like can you ask the question, what's going right? And that and what it just gives you space. It just gives a little bit of daylight that over time takes you to Hawaii, which is the happiest state in the country, I, I mean, naturally. But what do you need to do? Like, what's one thing that you could shift to just give you that little bit of perspective, that little bit of daylight, that little bit of difference? And I'm asking you guys the same question. If there's an area or there's something that you're up against that you feel like is draining your energy or sapping your happiness or something that you're really struggling with. And frankly, who isn't right now struggling with something? I'm a happiness coach and I struggle a little bit with some stuff. Like I said, my romance level was a 5 or a 6. I mean, I'm happily single, so I could probably put it at an 8. But I'm also, it would be nice to have like a somebody, right? It would be nice to whatever. My point is, if I fight against it, nope, I don't want that. I don't want that. That's what you're creating more of. But if I just open to the fact that, okay, yeah, sure, it would be really nice to have a partner, whatever that looks like. I'm not even sure, right? I have such ambivalence around it, which is why I'm still single. But I also know that my ambivalence around being single or in a relationship is like I don't have that partner. I don't have that like somebody to balance my so when things get hairy, I'm it. I, I mean, obviously I have friends and family, but like I don't have that partner person to like it's okay, we got this, right? I do that for myself. And I've been single for so long now that, I don't even know how to be in a really well, it's not true. I know how to be in a relationship. I'm not like I said, I have ambivalence around it, but my ambivalence is probably part of what's creating some of the struggle. If you've just joined us, say hi. Say good morning. Let me know. If you're watching a replay, please let me know that too. If anything I say ever resonates with you, let me know. If it doesn't, let me know that too. I'm curious. I'm always curious to see what lands and what doesn't, and I would really love to have some dialogue. I, I mean, I'm happy to talk to out in a vacuum by myself. I'm perfectly capable of it, obviously, but I also would love to have some dialogue and some conversation around some of these things. So my question to you today is what is one area, what's a 1 degree shift that you can make today to give a little bit of daylight into something that you're struggling with? And if you want, drop it down here in the chat and we'll have a conversation about it. That's really kind of all I got. What 1 degree shift do you want to make today? Check out the 1% group. It's actually a really cool thing, and I'm super. excited to be a part of it. Like I sort of they did this and they were like, "Hey, come join us," and I was like, I feel like I got invited to the cool kids table. It's really kind of fun. Um, I have a chakras class on Wednesday. I think at this present moment, there's I don't have many people signed up in it yet, but I believe I'm doing a chakras class on Wednesday, and we're going to go through the whole chakra system, chakras 101, and we will talk about chakras in a way probably that you're not used to hearing about yet. I think of chakras as levels of consciousness, and that's how we're going to sort of take them. Um, so check that out. I do have at the end of August 4 weeks fun with happiness. It's an intro to no fun with shadows. It's an intro to shadows course, and that is a really awesome way to dip your toe into shadow work because what's up for everybody right now is the shadow. We're being asked to heal it. We're being asked to examine the parts of ourselves that we're afraid of, the parts of ourselves that make us shudder, the parts of ourselves that we judge or hate, or the parts of our other people that we judge and hate. And so this is a really easy entry point for shadow work and fun with shadows because I do make shadow work fun. It doesn't have to be deep and dark and painful. I mean, it certainly can be, but it doesn't have to be. And doing it in a group takes the sting out of things because you get to realize that you're not alone in things. So join us for the Fun with Shadows class. The event is posted, and I'll post that again. Um, and if you're interested in the chakra class, join us for the chakra class on Wednesday. But like I said, at this moment, um, unless I get a couple of more signups, I may or may not have that class. And oh, the other thing is, I believe starting in August, I know, I'm just telling you this now because I just decided it. I think last August we did a happiness challenge and I loved it. And I think I'm going to do it again. So if I'm going to do my best to get my shit together for a happiness challenge in August. So I will post information about that. But what it looks like is I'm going to ask questions every day about what's going right. What are you grateful for today? What made you smile? And I'm going to love it if you post pictures or comments or whatever. So I think I'm going to create a happiness challenge. I'll probably create an event. So stay tuned for that. And I am also probably going to have a flash sale because I actually believe that everybody needs some healing right now. I just feel like we all could use some. So at the moment, if you feel like you're needing just needing an extra boost of energy, if you book a session with me before July 31st, normally my one-off session, my one-off session is 150. Uh, well, 150. But if you book with me before July 31st, I'm dropping it down to $99. And I'm doing it because I really want it to be an accessible price point. So if you book a session with me between now and July 31st, it doesn't have to happen before July 31st. Just book the session with me before July 31st, and the cost will only be $100. So I'm making it really, truly accessible. And if even that price point is too much, talk to me. I would rather you get the healing than not because I just believe every one of us right now needs a little bit of a boost. That's all I got. Happy Monday. I love you all. Have a wonderful week.